Today we are in the beautiful town of Toodyay in the Avon Valley region, about an hour and a half northeast of Perth. And I tell you what, this town is steeped in early settler history with some amazing buildings like the one behind me. But we're not staying in town today. We're going to head out into the valley for some awesome four driving, and I'm pretty keen to learn a little bit about a slippery character called Joseph Johns. But you might know him better as Moondyne Joe. Let's get into it. Now, before we leave town, we're making a quick stop to the old Newcastle Gaol. This beautifully restored old building served as the regional lockup from 1864 until its closure in 1909. In 1962, the jail was restored as a museum and is still accepting visitors today. Whilst Moondyne Joe didn't spend any time in this lockup, local volunteer Barry is a wealth of knowledge. Now look, thanks very much for talking to us, Barry.
My pleasure.
We're after the trail of Moondyne Joe. What can you tell us about old Moondyne?
Oh, I could tell you a lot about Moondyne Joe, and I think there's a lot of stories that have been told about him generally. Real thing I can tell you about him is that we're in this lovely jail here, but he was never here. But
oh, right.
He was probably the real reason why the jail is here, because he originally broke out from one of the old jails in Toodyay, and he upset everybody with that, particularly the local magistrate, because he stole his bridle and his saddle to put on the horse, and he was in prison, put in the jail for stealing.
So he was a slippery character to begin with.
He was a slippery character to begin with. He seemed to be a real nice sort of bloke though.
Oh, fantastic. Now, I believe from reading some of the amazing history that you've got over in the Moondyne Gallery, that he was also in Fremantle Prison.
He spent a lot of his time in Fremantle Prison. He also spent a lot of his time getting out of Fremantle Prison. He was an escapologist, I think, really, of the finest order, and one of our popular old people. That's
fantastic. Now, he was also quite active in the Avon Valley itself. What can you tell us about that?
Basically, he wasn't a bushranger, but he was a bushie, and he did a lot of work with horses, and he ran brumbies, but he also had a place called Joe's Cage, which is further up in the valley, and he used to collect brumbies, and he used to do branding of them and such like that, but he also had the habit of taking other people's horses, and if they weren't branded, branding them for himself.
And that's how he got originally caught in, was it 1861?
1861, that's how he got caught. He wasn't a real criminal in the overall thing. He was sort of a lovable sort of rascal.
Bit of a Robin Hood type character.
Yeah, I like to think he was a Robin Hood, though I don't think he gave too much money back to the public. So
we're finished here at Newcastle Gaol, and I've even got one of the old shingles from the roof. But more importantly, I've got a photo of the old boy himself, Moondyne Joe. He was described as being a tall fella with curly hair and a pockmarked face. But I tell you what, he looks pretty slippery to me. It's time for us to escape the town and hit the dirt tracks. And it's out in the Avon Valley we'll find some of Moondyne Joe's old hangouts. Dave, what an amazing little town that was.
Yeah, Barry came up with some good info for us, so looking forward to getting out here and trying to find this little hideout.
This time of year, this region receives most of its annual rainfall, and we're expecting a fair bit of water on the tracks. And there's no telling how deep these holes are going to get. All right, team, so we've got a bit of a water hazard here, so let's go check it out. All right, Dave, so we're on the track out to Moondyne's Cage, and I tell you what, we've come up to a little water hazard here, and these areas are pretty well known for getting chewed out by constant traffic going through, and that means that it might be a little bit deeper than we think. Unfortunately, neither of us have 9-foot long arms, so getting to the middle is going to be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, there's a couple of hallmarks, car parts and a winch strap mark on that tree over there, so someone's been in a bit of strife prior to this.
And I've got a feeling one of us is going to have to walk in it, and I reckon it's probably going to be me this time because you did the one in Warren River, didn't you?
That'd probably only be fair.
Yeah, that would be fair. All right, well, luckily I chose the middle of winter to do this one, so let's get in and we'll check the depths. Always check this, guys, especially if it's uneven ground. That's really important. The last thing you want to do is be stranded out in one of these tracks in a muddy hole. All right, time to roll up the jeans and have a bit of a look. Oh, this is gonna be cold. Ha! Oh, that's bloody freezing. All right, here we go.
that the high spot with the stick on?
This is the high spot here. We've been hot on the trail looking for Moondyne Joe's trap, and I think we just found the trail leading to his camp.
I think we found the track to the cage. Over.
Roger that, I'll turn around now. All right, Dave, so we're on our way to Joe's trap.
Yes, mate. This is where he trapped his horses, branded them for himself, or sold them back to their owners.
How'd he trap him?
Made a well, put some feed in the place, and led him into the trap.
All right, so we're here at Joe's trap, Dave, and I tell you what, there's not a great deal of evidence left, but here's the well, and you can tell obviously there's some man-made placed stones around the place, and this is obviously where he was bringing the livestock.
Yeah, this is where he bought his water, and there's pretty clear evidence of a small wooden stockyard down there where he would have kept his stock. So pretty amazing sight for 160 years ago.
I mean, this is essentially the start of European settlement in Western Australia. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think that we're standing right here where old Moondyne Joe was.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
great.
cool hangout between these two ridges, and he can look down the valley and keep an eye on who might be coming up to visit him. People who he wants to meet, people who he didn't want to meet.
Yeah, the cops. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like and subscribe to join us on our next adventure.